Yo, what's up guys, it's your boy Sami here. Today we are gonna see, what if Naruto was the god of destruction, Universe 11, Part 7, the last part. Hope you'll enjoy this video. So before we start, please subscribe to our channel, and like this video. So let's get into the video. Do be careful fighting Dadar, as it seems people from off-world are involved with the Akatsuki, and are powering them up, as well as working alongside them. I'll be waiting nearby while you finish up, Margarita told Dispo, having gotten the intel from Kus, before the Pride Trooper nodded to her, as she took the unconscious Gar into her staff, and teleported a bit away, so she could watch over the fight without being bothered by Dadar. Not so fast. I've got a job to do. Dadar yelled, as he had crawled his way out of the trench Dispo had sent him into, and sent a clay centipede after them, only for his two targets to disappear, and quickly feel a sharp pain in the side of his face, before being sent flying from a kick again. I'm your opponent, so focus on me, Dispo said, already a tiny bit impressed that the man was able to withstand his kicks, even if they weren't exactly full power. Okay, fine then. I didn't want to do this, as it goes against my artistic integrity, but push a man far enough, and any explosion will be art. You regret kicking me. Dadar yelled, as he held out his one remaining hand towards Dispo. Katsu. The Mad Bomber yelled out with no hand seal apparently needed, as Dispo widened his eye, as his boots started to glow, putting two and two together, and being just fast enough to take it off, and jump back before it exploded. Dispo didn't have much time to settle, as he could see the ground glowing under where he landed, his eyes following the trail of glowing land back to Dadar, and his hand. For, great, he can detonate other things he touches. If I had to guess, it'd probably involve his chakra, Dispo thought, as he dodged the explosion, and started to fly in the air. I doubt he can make the air explosive since he can't touch it, but I better be careful, he thought with a frown, hoping that this won't be too difficult to handle. Kokit and Sakura. Do you think Naruto will be okay? Sakura asked, wanting to look back to check on Naruto, but knew better with an Akatsuki member in front of them. He'll be fine, he's trained and sparred against several strong gods, so even if this is someone who does have the potential intent to kill, I feel he'll be able to handle him, Kokit, having complete faith in Naruto and his skill. So I'm stuck with you three. It seems I don't know about that blue-skinned woman, but with you two, once I defeat you both, I'll have a solid 300 puppets in my collection. Plus I'll have the first ever alien puppet too if I go after that blue woman next, Sasori said, a smirk heard in his tone even through his Haruko puppet, as the puppet looked Kokit over, as if imagining how she'd look as a puppet, and casting a side-eyed glance towards Vados. He quickly looked away though once Vados shot him dead in the eyes, not Haruko's eyes, but, if either of them had to figure, Sasori's eyes from within Haruko. Sorry, but no, it'll take a lot more than poison, and some puppets to take either of us out, Kokit said, as she wasted no time before launching a barrage of lavender-colored Kai blasts at Sasori. Sasori tried to block, as best he could, with Haruko's tail, only for it to shatter after repeated blasts, and his cloak to be torn to shreds, but in the end the tail helped save the puppet. Enough of this. Sasori yelled, as Haruko's mouth opened, and he started his barrage of poison dipped. Get behind me, Sakura. Kokit ordered out, Sakura nodding, and falling into line before Kokit summoned a barrier around the two of them. One look from Kokit, and a nod towards the ground. Sakura quickly got her message, and started on her part. Sasori narrowed his eyes, as he fired off Haruko's left arm. It flew through the air before the studs on the arm fired off, and launched hundreds of more at the barrier. Sasori might not know how the technique worked, but wasting wasn't too much of an actual waste. You can't hide in there forever. This isn't much of a fight if you do, Sasori said before Kokit smirked at him. I can keep my barrier up for as long as I want, but, if I'm being honest, I'm just buying time for Sakura, Kokit said, confusing Sasori before he noticed Sakura wasn't in the barrier behind her anymore. Too late. Shanro. Sakura yelled, as she burst up from the ground below Sasori before he could react, Kokit having directed her to travel underground to attack him with her enhanced strength. Their strength was easily able to shatter the Haruko puppet, Sakura noticing, as a figure leaped out before she could hit him, deciding to leap back towards Kokit. So that's the real you, Sasori, the living puppet, Sakura said with a frown, hiding her shiver, as she had been somewhat disgusted, and freaked out by it, when she first heard about it from the three angels. So you know about me, it seems you are more informed than we expected, Sasori said, as he took off the black sheet that was left over from Haruko, revealing the youthful appearance of becoming a puppet while still moderately young. Information doesn't mean much if you are too weak to fight and defeat your opponent, Sasori started before he pulled out a scroll, unrolling a part of it to reveal the kanji for 3 on it. Let me show you both my favorites. It was truly the hardest one for me to get and to complete, but that's what makes me so fond of him, Sasori said before a cloud of smoke erupted from the scroll. As the smoke died down, both Kokit and Sakura were finally able to see the puppet of the third Kazuki appear behind Sasori. So you finally brought him out. Must have been rather difficult to make when you had to go through all the trouble of having a mole of yours poison him, so you could take his dead body, Vados said with a calm smile, looking over to Sasori who narrowed his eyes ever so slightly. But kept his calm look strong. What do you mean Vados? Sakura asked, noticing the effect that the angel's words had on Sasori. The third Kazekage from what I've seen in the history of Suna was the strongest of all the Kazekages, his iron sand being the true reason for that. It doesn't make much sense that a puppeteer would be able to take him down, when his sand would have ruined any, and all puppets upon contact with his sand. Of course Sasori knew this, so he had one of his sleeper agents poison the man. And bring his body to him only to kill the agent, so he could truly claim it was he who killed the third Kazekage. Rather cowardly if you ask me, Vados explained to them only to easily block an attack just as the Kazekage puppet tried to hit her with a hidden buzzsaw, the weapon breaking instantly once it struck her staff. 5. Oh my, did I strike a nerve? Vados asked, completely unfazed and unaffected, as she looked at Sasori with him quickly recalling his puppet and ejecting the damaged weapon. I don't care if you found it out, it makes no difference, as you three will die, and become puppets of mine, as well, Sasori said while he tried his best to keep his calm tone, despite the clear anger they all could hear barely hidden in it. Stay on your toes, that puppet is fast, and who knows how many more tools it has. I can protect you if things go south, but only if you are within range, Koka told Sakura, getting a nod from her fellow Pinket, before Sasori wasted no time sending his puppet after them. It seemed he learned his lesson not to attack Vados, as, while she couldn't fight, she could waste time if he attacked her, which would give the two of them clear windows to attack. The puppet was fast, summoning several blades alongside the puppet's right arm, as it dove at Sakura, appearing in front of her with it already poised to swing them at her. Sakura knew something was coming, preparing to leap back, and while she was too slow, Koka helped cover her, as a thin barrier wall appeared in front of her to block the Kazuki's strike. 6. The barrier, while thin, would not budge or show any signs of breaking, no matter how much Sasori tried to push against it. You to go first if I'm to get anything done, Sasori said, as he commanded his puppet through his chakra strings to open up the forearm and bicep of Kazuki's left arm, revealing several seals lining the insides of it. Koka knew to be on guard, as the seals activated, and several hundred nearly never-ending puppet arms shot out at her. With Sakura having leapt away from the blades of the Kazekage, and the puppet seemingly not being able to move while it did this, Koka flared her kai in her hands, and started to take aim. "Das ist barrage," Koka yelled, as she fired off an even stronger barrage of larger lavender kai blasts at the arms that raced towards her, quickly noticing how each blast easily shattered an arm on contact. She knew she couldn't let up, her blasts easily keeping the arms at bay before they stopped pushing forward, and suddenly shot out a massive cloud of poison at her. Koka tried to leap back to avoid it only for a kunai on a rope wrapped around her, and pulled her back towards the cloud of smoke. "Koka!" Sakura yelled out, hoping Koka would be fine in the cloud of poison, and felt a bit helpless that merely standing there was all that she could do. "If you can breathe in that barrier, then air has to flow through it, which means my poison will, as well," Sasori said with a smirk, at least hoping his hypothesis was correct, since if it was it'd get the unknown factor out of the way. But, as the rope reeled in after having been cut, and the additional ropes he sent out seemed to be deflected, it seemed that the woman was inside one of her barriers. "Sorry to disappoint, but my barriers are a lot more versatile than you think. Air is filtered completely in it, and it isn't as immobile as you think. Training with Naruto has ensured that." Koka yelled, as she, still in her barrier, shot out of the poison cloud, and into the air before quickly slamming down, and destroying the Kazuki's arms that were spewing poison. She tried to dash at the puppet only iron sand to fly at her, and grab her barrier before flinging it at a wall of the cave. Koka quickly dispelled her barrier, and dropped down beside Sakura before she hit the wall. "Iron sand is like how Gaara can control sand. We need to be careful if he's even halfway as good as Gaara with it," Sakura said. Given her first-hand experience of seeing Gaara fight with his sand, she knew the magnet release was definitely powerful. "Might I suggest something given how you two are struggling a bit?" Vados asked, surprising the two women, as she appeared between them. "Wait, are you able to help us?" Sakura asked, which got a sort of gesture from Vados. "I cannot actively participate in a fight, but I can help in any other way I am ordered, to which I have ongoing orders to ensure everyone survives. So to ensure that, and fix the struggle of balancing your offense and defense, I am giving you both these," Vados told them before she summoned a pair of purple earrings that Sakura noticed looked the same as the ones she had seen on Caulifla and Kale. "Are you sure about this, Vados? This isn't something we can just force on Sakura," Koka said, giving Sakura an unsure look as they each got one earring. The female pride trooper though was thankful that Vados' presence seemed to make Sasori stop attacking for the time being. How long that went on though depended on how quickly he grew tired of waiting. "Force what on me? I know Caulifla and Kale have these earrings, so what do they do? Are they power boosters or something?" Sakura asked, unsure exactly what they were or what they could be given. She knew absolutely nothing of the wonders of things out in space. They are Patara earrings. When two people wear them in opposite ears, they temporarily fuse the two people together into one being for an hour. Caulifla and Kale use it for various reasons, but they work, as they are very close, Koka explained, not wanting to overstep things with Sakura, given they had just met. Have some time to think it over if you want, Vados said, as she quickly teleported them back a few feet and set up a barrier for them. Her back turned to Sasori, which seemed to be enough to set him off. Iron sand drizzle. Sasori yelled out, as he fired off hundreds of iron sand bullets at Vados. Her back still turned to him before his eyes whitened, as she effortlessly seemed to dodge absolutely every single one of them. Oh my, Howard. Attacking before I even turned around like that. So improper, Vados said, as she put a hand to her cheek with a disappointed sigh, while she continued to dodge. Like a coquette, fusion sounds crazy, but I trust you, and the people Naruto surrounds himself with, Sakura said, as they watched Vados dodge, and almost gracefully dance around Sasori's attacks. Naruto is a good judge of character, and if Vados is suggesting it then it's even more reason to do it. I might not know how it'll feel to be fused, but I'm willing to try, she added before she quickly put on one of the patara on her left ear. Sasori didn't let up, getting beyond frustrated before he turned all the iron sand around her into blades, and fired them at her from every direction. Only he was surprised, as a lavender barrier appeared around the woman with another woman he hadn't seen before inside it, as well. Seems you took up the offer, how does it feel? Vados asked, as the woman before her pushed her hands out, the barrier expanding for a quick second before reverting to normal size, repelling the sand blades with enough force to embed them into the far-off walls, and cause Sasori to dodge a bit. It feels odd, but I'll get used to it, the woman said, her voice being a mix of Sakura and Kokus, as the barrier slowly faded away. The woman, as all fusions Vados had seen, was a mix of the two that had put on the patara. Her eyes were still green, the color being more akin to Sakura's shade, with her skin being a lighter pink than Kokus' usual skin tone, and possessing slightly less pointed ears. Her figure was also a mix of the two, bustier than Kokus, but smaller than Sakura, a J cup which was right between Kokus' I cup and Sakura's K cup. Given she was a fusion of two, her hair was now a dual pink tone. It styled like Kokus' hair with a dark pink on the top, and lighter pink under it, with a few lighter pink bangs hanging forward, her hair a bit long, but shorter than Kokus' normal length. Her outfit had Sakura's red top become an open vest with the black V on it, like how it was on Kokus' uniform to represent the Pride Troopers with a tight long-sleeved red shirt under it. And Sakura's biker spats being replaced with black tights with the pink apron she wore, turning into a pair of pink spats that were worn over the tights. Kokus' white boots and gloves had turned black due to Sakura's sandals, and gloves, their boots also gained a heel on them from Sakura's sandals. And your name? Vados asked, curious of what this fusion would be called while she watched them stand up. Given we are a mix of Sakura and Kokus, I'm thinking Sakit works best, the newly named Sakit said, as she clenched her fists, summoning a strong light-colored pink aura of Kai round them. Okay then Sakit, give him hell, Vados said with a smile, as she teleported away to give them space. But we will, they said before disappearing into an intense burst of speed, and appearing in front of the Kazukichi puppet, launching a punch to his face before Sasori could react, and instantly shattering the puppet into 1,000 pieces. Naruto, and Mir. So which universe do you come from? I ask because it's obvious you aren't from this one, Naruto said, as he and Mir stopped their ascent, being high enough and far enough from the others to ensure nothing would get in their way. It doesn't matter, I'm here to stop you from interfering, to keep you busy, and ensure the Akatsuki don't die too quickly. Mir bluntly told him with the same stoic look on his face. Personally I don't find you worth the time, but I was ordered to stop you from fighting the Akatsuki, he added, making Naruto raise an eyebrow at. It wasn't like him being a god of destruction, he felt entitled or expected people to see him as someone strong, but the whole not being worth the time stung a bit. He knew he was new to being one, but he liked to believe the fact he became the god of destruction by killing the previous one at least amounted to something. Really? So if I attack you you'll just take it? Naruto asked before Mir crossed his arms. I doubt anything you could give me besides an orb of destruction energy would make me feel anything, Mir said, a slight smirk breaking through his stoic look. Then I guess I'll just have to try and see, but don't complain when I surprise you, Naruto said with a smirk of his own before he flared his Kai, summoning a golden orange aura around him before he disappeared in a burst of speed. As Naruto appeared behind Merit, a man didn't even turn his head or visibly react, even when he struck him with a kick to the side of his face, the force of it resulting in a powerful shockwave around them. He didn't let up though, using a move he learned from two friends of his, he created 3 powerful Kai blasts floating in each hand, and fired them point blank into Mir. Is that all you got? Mir asked, as the dust settled, his clothing and himself somewhat scuffed, but no damage seemingly being dealt. Nope, that's what we call a diversion, Naruto said before another version of himself appeared behind Mir, with the largest Rasengan he could make in his clone's hand. Sage Art. Chidama Rasengan. His clone yelled, its orange toad eyes and red eyelids showing it was in the toad sage mode he had snuck back to learn, before slamming the beyond massive Rasengan down on Mir, faster than the man could react or move out of the way of it. As the Rasengan bore into Mir, it didn't take long before it exploded, and sent Mir rocketing down to the ground, the force of the impact enough to cause a minor earthquake, and destroy a lot of the ground under them. How's that for feeling anything? Naruto yelled down at Mira, sensing the man's anger and frustration as he floated up out of the deep crater that he had made upon crashing into the earth. Unlike his other attacks, which weren't meant to have any actual effect on him, this one had a clear and obvious effect, since Naruto could see one of Mira's arms were hanging limply by his side, and he had several cuts and gashes from the attack and the crash. And don't go trying to make excuses how I could have handled any Kai attacks of yours, since both Kai and chakra are how I fight, Naruto told him before he watched Mira flare his Kai, producing a red and black aura around, as the man glared with anger blazing in his eyes. He also noticed how Mira's arm seemed to fix itself, as did most of the gashes and injuries he had caused him. I'll admit I might have underestimated you, but tricks like that won't work on me again, Mira said, which only got a loud laugh from Naruto. Mira, I'm a ninja, tricks are our bread and butter, Naruto replied, only to find himself blocking a powerful strike from Mira that caused a powerful shockwave on impact. Then I'll just have to keep you from doing any of them, Mira said before going on the offensive a bit. We'll see about that, but I'd keep an eye on the Akatsuki as well, since I know you can feel the power levels of my friends rising higher and higher. Do you really think the Akatsuki can handle them even with your help? Naruto asked, as he could feel everyone's power growing massively all around them, and he couldn't be happier about it, since it meant he didn't have to worry as much and could fully focus on the new trouble in front of him. Don't worry kid, we still have a ton of cards up our sleeves, Kurama said, as the Sage Mode clone dispelled, sending the nature energy into Naruto. You're right Kurama, let's start by showing off one of them, Naruto thought with a smirk, as he used Sage Mode's invisible coating around him to help dodge a punch from Mira, even quicker than he usually could, before launching a strike at the man with all his strength. He had to resist smiling, as Mira tried to dodge it, not nearly enough to completely dodge it, resulting in another powerful and solid hit on the man. I'd be careful though Mira, as I have more tricks than I can count, and I just recently got a few more. You can try and stop me from using them, but that's pretty difficult when you have no idea what they are, Naruto told him, as he stared the man down, not wanting to have to use the Bijuu's chakra against him, but was ready to if he needed to. It's been a while since he seriously fought someone that could give him a challenge, and he wanted to enjoy it as best that he could. Caulifla and Kale. Lightning style. Facial darkness. Kakuzu yelled out, as his lightning mask fired a laser-like blast of lightning at Kale, the woman barely able to avoid it in time, only for the wind mask to appear above her. He could only smirk, as she widened her eyes just before it shot a pressure damage down at her. Kale. Caulifla yelled out in worry for Kale, wanting to rush over there to help her, only to quickly have to leap back and dodge, as Hayden started to get even more wild with his swings. Yes. Let me get some blood for you. I'll ensure that the ritual is a grand one. Hayden screeched out, his eyes wild with a frenzy to get her blood, which required Caulifla's full attention to ensure that didn't happen. She knew what he could do, and the idea of dying that way wasn't the way she wanted to go down. The warrior in her refused to let her. It's okay Caulifla, I'm fine, Kale groaned out, her hand on a tree to help her stand up, as her clothes were a bit torn and burnt. I won't lose control, and I will defeat you, as I am right now. She declared, her hair flashing greenish gold, as she fought to stay in control. More durable than I expected, which is annoying. I really didn't want to use what I got from those two, but I guess I have to, Kakuzu said before he snapped his fingers, which caused his creatures to gain a thin dark purple aura around them, and the markings on their masks to change a bit. Let's see how you handle these. The man yelled, as he wove through a flurry of hand seals while his beasts kept her busy, and he clapped his hands to finish it off, signaling the beasts to leap back. Lava style. Magma rush. Scorch style. Hellion spheres. Storm release. Hectic haywire. Kakazu listened, as his fire mask became coated in liquid magma, and rushed her, his wind mask launching 3 rather large miniature suns at her. And his lightning mask fired off a free-flowing blast of lightning that flowed around randomly at varying speeds, before speeding off too fast to follow. Kakuzu smirked, as the attack struck only for his fire mask to be launched back from within the dust. Caulifla. Kale stuttered out, wide-eyed, as Caulifla stood in front of her with her back to Kakuzu, having leapt in to help shield her from some of the attacks. The sight of her injuries was enough to make her yell out in rage, and instantly go into her berserk state. Stop. Caulifla yelled, as she looked up at Kale. Even in her berserk state, Kale always did her best to listen to her. Don't do this Kale, if you want to get back at him we can do this together, she told her while she reached up for her Patara earring, smiling, as Kale calmly powered down, and nodded. Finally got you fucking heathen. Hayden yelled, his scythe cutting Caulifla's arm a bit, as Kakuzu made more hand signs. Hurry, and finish her off with your ritual. I'll take care of the others. Kakuzu yelled before he fired off the same techniques, as with the woman's massive form, even if she eased out of it, screamed trouble. Hayden was gleeful, as the attacks hit, and he set up his ritual before stabbing himself in the heart only to frown, as he heard no screams of pain, and had Kakuzu's fire mask creature thrown directly at him. Sorry about that, but Caulifla no longer exists so her blood won't do shit for the next hour, you'll have to deal with us now. A new voice yelled out before the dust was quickly blown away, and they were almost knocked over from the force of the gust. They were both a bit confused, as they saw that the two women were gone with a new person standing where they used to be. The woman was young and slender while standing around the height of the Kale woman, with her hair spiky like cauliflower with bangs framing her face, and most of it held up in a ponytail. Her complexion even seemed a mix of the two, as did her entire outfit. She wore a purple belly shirt that was rather snug around her F-cup chest with form-fitting purple pants, a pair of gold armbands, and a pair of black and gold boots. Who the hell are you, and what do you mean she doesn't exist? Lord Jashin's ritual can never fail. Haydn yelled only for a barrage of 6 green orbs to slam into him and destroy everything from the waist up for him. We are the fusion of cauliflower and kale, our name is Kefla, and yours is now screwed, Kefla said, as she looked over to Kakuzu before she disappeared. The next second Kakazu widening his eyes in shock and pain, as a fist collided with his cheek, and he found himself flying through countless trees. Woo. Feels so good to be around again. I swear fusing always feels great. If only I could get some fun within the hour I'm around, Kefla said, as she bounced in excitement before pouting a bit once she remembered she was only around for an hour, and Naruto was busy. I wonder if I can get some time with him if I get done quickly with these two, help him with his fight, and then rush to get everything else done. Then again that'd be running it close, she said with a groan only to backflip over one of Kakazu's masks, as they tried to attack her. But right, I forgot about you guys. Here, let me get rid of you all, she said with a smirk, as she summoned an orb of Kai in her hand. First cannonball. She yelled, as she threw the blast at the lightning mask, smirking, as it didn't know what to do, as the blast zigzagged around before she made the blast hit and kill it. 1 down, 2 to go, Kefla said, looking around for the other 2 masks, only to see that they had merged together. Oh, copying me are we? Well, come on, let's see what you can do, she goaded with a come at me gesture, before the mouths of both masks opened up for her. Strange mass simultaneous arson. Kakazu yelled, as he limped out of the forest, his outfit and mask torn to reveal a Glasgow smile, before the masks took aim at her, and let out a massive blast of fire, made even stronger by wind mixing in with it. Cocky arrogant girl, doesn't she know that's how you get killed? Kakuzu said with an annoyed glare before turning to look over at Haydn, to see he was working on regenerating his head and his right arm. Oh yeah? Like you're about to be. Kefla said, as she appeared in front of him, slamming him with an uppercut before she grabbed his feet before he flew too high up in the air. Here. Let me take care of your hearts, you just go lay down. She yelled, as she quickly began to spin him around, going faster and faster before she threw him again through the forest to crash through some trees. I wouldn't even have to go Super Saiyan for you weaklings, so let's make this quick, she said, as she held up her right hand to summon 6 Kai spheres, before they started to rapidly spin around her hand so fast they started to look like one blast. Gigantic breaker. She roared out before she burst forward, slamming it into the new mask fusion, and smirked, as it utterly exploded into a million bits. You fucking bitch. Haydn yelled, having fully regenerated, and quickly charged at her with his scythe somehow still intact, although now with only one blade on it. Seriously, you're still alive? Kefla asked with a raised eyebrow in shock and annoyance, as she easily dodged the man's attacks. With Lord Jashin's blessing I truly cannot die. You will though. Haydn yelled only to fall to the ground, as Kefla blasted his legs off. We'll see, what Kefla said with a smirk, as she slowly walked away a bit before turning back around. Let's see how you deal with this human cockroach. Kefla yelled, as she summoned 6 Kai blasts in each hand, before she poured more power into them, and made them spin until she had a massive swirling red and green disc in each hand. Lord Jashin will strike you down. He will curse you. He will kill you. Haydn yelled, as he tried to crawl away. If what you're saying is true, then good thing I only exist for an hour at a time. Kefla yelled with a laugh. Have fun in hell. Gigantic burst. She yelled before she fired the 2 swirling beams at Haydn, the crazy cultist merely laughing before the beams overtook him. As her attack died down she couldn't help but let out a whistle at the destruction she left behind. Let's see you regenerate, from what she said with a chuckle before Kuss landed down beside her. He won't, his soul has officially moved on to hell. It seems you destroyed every bit of him, so there was nothing for him to regenerate from, Kuss explained, which got an excited fist pump from the fusion. Yes. I knew I could finish off that fucker. Now I just have to deal with that stitched up creep, Kefla said before Kuss shook her head. But Kakuzu, though it seems he was teleported away, I assume whoever is empowering the Akatsuki doesn't want too many of them killed, or at least doesn't want 2 of the same group killed, the small angel said, while she looked over in the direction she had thrown Kakazu. So what should I do? Should I help someone else? Kefla asked, since she was still itching for a fight. Well, helpful, I believe everyone has things handled. All we can do is wait for them to get done, she explained, and while Kefla groaned, she knew the Kuss was right. Didn't mean she liked it. Don't worry, I'm sure Naruto will let cauliflower and kale fuse again, since you rarely get to see him, she added, noticing the fusion's somber look before she smiled, and pumped her fists again. Awesome. It's been a while since I got to have a go with him, Kefla said with a giggle before she started to drift off into her imagination a bit, even going as far as to bit and giggle some more, while she and Kuss waited for the others to get done. Dispo and Dadar. Stop moving. Dadar yelled, as he continued to make everything and anything explode around the purple creature in front of him, in an attempt to catch him in an explosion, but every time the explosion started he was gone only to appear somewhere else. Oh yes, just let me stand still while you try to blow me up. That makes perfect sense, Dispo said with a flat tone, looking at Dadar with a "are you kidding me" look before dodging a centipede that tried to burst up from the ground under him. Come on, you can do better than that, Dispo said with an eye roll, as he blasted the centipede, as it tried to go after him. All I have to do is run out the clock with him, given his reserves aren't that large, and hit him when he isn't expecting it, he thought, as he kicked away a large chunk of the centipede, as it lunged at him in an attempt to catch him in the explosion, only for it to go flying back at Dadar. I can take a small explosion like that, so don't think you got me. Dadar yelled, as he ran out of the dust, looking over to Dispo only to find him gone. Trust me, I knew, Dispo said, as he appeared behind Dadar with a kick mid-swing aimed at the man's chest from the side. He was missing an arm, but, as the kick connected, instead of Dadar being sent flying, Dispo found his foot sinking into the man, who now started to turn pure white. And reveal he was made of pure clay. I had to use the last remaining bit of my clay, and nearly the last of my chakra, but in the end I at least will have finished you off. Dadar's clay clone yelled out, as it grabbed onto Dispo, and started to glow before exploding. Are you okay? Margarita asked, as she reappeared beside the dust cloud before she blew it away to reveal Dispo, who, while a bit scuffed up with a damaged suit, was still alive. Yeah, I'm fine. He underestimated my durability, thinking it would kill me, rather than just hurt a lot, Dispo said, giving Margarita an appreciative nod, as she fixed up his suit and healed him up, which confused him, since he thought the battle was still going on. Dadar escaped. He used Earth to begin making a tunnel. We got what we needed, which was Gar. If he flees, then it's not important for now, Margarita explained, which made sense to Dispo, as sure, killing him meant one less Akatsuki member, but at the same time retrieving Gar was his mission. How are the others doing? Dispo asked, as he could feel some crazy power levels out there. Kefla finished off hiding with Kakuzu being teleported away, while Sakura and Koka fused to fight Sasori, as Naruto fights against a man named Mir. All we can do is wait and see what the final results are. Margarita filled him in, as she turned to look over to where the rest of the fighting was happening. She was confident that the new fusion could finish Sasori, and was also confident in Naruto's strength, but that mirror figure was far too unknown to allow her to rest assured. She knew she couldn't get involved, so all she could do was have faith in the man she loved, and the god she served. Sakura and Koka, Sake. Sasori was instantly on guard, as the Kazukiichi was destroyed, throwing off his cloak to reveal his puppet body. He knew that given this fusion, no matter how outlandish that sounded to him, rushing in to fight against them with himself would only result in potential defeat, instead pulling out the second of 4 scrolls that were holstered on his back, and opening up the left side of his chest. Secret red technique. Performance of 100 puppets. Sasori declared, as 100 chakra threads appeared out of his chest, and connected to the 100 puppets he quickly unsealed from the scroll in his hand. I'm done messing around. This is showtime, Sasori said with an annoyed look before he sent the small army of puppets out to attack. Sake wasn't too worried though, as she dodged and weaved through the puppets, their speed being nothing for her, as she effortlessly began to take them out. They shattered easily, whether it be from her intense strength or her Kai blasts. Is this really all you have left, Sasori? Some army of throwaway puppets to try and save your skin before you decide to fight me? Sake asked as she trapped the torsos of 2 puppets inside separate barriers, cutting them apart before sending them flying into another 2 puppets. As she fought, she used her barrier almost like Gar's sand, creating partial barriers around her to block attacks while she focused on fighting. It was more like her barrier dome was always around her, invisible, and only becoming solid when she wanted it to, so that it could protect her. She still had to stay on her toes, and keep an eye out for where the attacks were coming from, but with the speed the puppets were going at, they might as well be in slow motion. All the puppets slowly became incredibly annoying, even with the speed she was taking them out at. Enough of this. Let's get you out here, Sakura said, as she created her barrier around her, flaring her kite before she pushed her arms out, which in turn caused the barrier to instantly expand, and caused all the puppets around her to get sent flying into the walls to shatter into pieces. Since the trouble I had getting into the Akatsuki, I wonder when exactly was the last time I've had to do this. I'll acknowledge you two are worth going this far, so let's see how you handle finally facing off against me, Sasori said, as he looked down at them, the blades on his back fanning out, and the cable from his gut reeling out to reveal a sharp spike at the end of it. Sake leapt to the side, as Sasori's cable tried to stab into her, knowing it too was slathered in a fast-acting poison. She had to keep dodging, leaping, and sliding out of the way, as Sasori continued to stretch out the cable to go after her. "Got you?" Your barrier can't protect you if it's this close range, Sasori yelled out, as he reeled in his cable, which caused it to contract, and, due to how he had moved it around her, caused it to wrap around her to bind her. This in turn allowed Sasori to rush at her with his blade spinning like a buzzsaw, and the spike from his cable to go in to stab her. You seriously are an idiot, Sakura said with a flat look, as she summoned her barrier, cutting off part of the cable which went slack, and dropped off her, while also slicing off the spike, due to it being inside the smaller than normal barrier she made around herself. You know nothing about my powers, and assume you do. That is a wrong move, she told him while his buzzsaws attacked her barrier, him trying to retreat before she lowered the barrier, and made partial ones coating her forearms enough to protect her from his blades. But still allow her to grab them by the base to rip them out. Come on Sasori, let's see what else you have, she said with a smirk, tossing the ripped out blades to the side, as she stared him down, only for him to make a rather obvious choice, and try to flee. Not so fast. Special Zone Max. She yelled, creating her strongest barrier to ensure he couldn't escape the cave, with the added bonus of ensuring no one could teleport into it. Running sounds about right for a man who used poison to kill an opponent behind his back, Sakura said, as she fired a fast Kai blast at Sasori, watching as it exploded both Sasori's left shoulder and bicep. She didn't even blink, as she dodged swords thrown at her via chakra strings, as Sasori seemed to be trying to hit her with anything he could, while he just glared at her. Be careful, it seems that he, like all the other Akatsuki, have gotten a boost from an outside source, Vado said from nearby, bringing her attention to how Sasori now had a slight dark purple aura around him, before she noticed two other things. First being that Sasori somehow didn't have his core like what was shown in the intel, and the second being that the destroyed portion of his arm was being pieced back together by small barely visible dark purple wisps of energy that were connected to the shards of himself that she had just shattered. She even noticed his blades were being brought back to him, and his core piecing itself back together before reconnecting to him. Great, so not only does he not have a human aspect for us to kill, but he can heal himself. There has to be a limit to it, right? Sakura asked, Vados merely shrugging her shoulders, as she didn't have the answer, and telling her that it was something she'd have to figure out on her own. Well, no better time to figure it out than right here, Sakura said to herself before she appeared in front of him in a burst of speed, her first drawn back, and aimed at the human puppet's head. Though sadly, shattering it didn't even stop him, as even without a head Sasori attacked with his blades and cable, her shield protecting her, but also resulting in her being pushed back due to being in midair and not flying. Okay, that test failed, not even removing his head works, and yet he can still see somehow, probably seeing through the eyes of other puppets, since even the destroyed puppets have that purple aura, Sakura thought with a frown. As she noticed the aura spreading to various puppets while Sasori's head was pieced back together. Now do you see the futility of fighting me? That woman truly allowed me to be the perfect immortal puppet. No human aspect to me any longer, and I am not a fragile doll either. She assured me that if even the smallest shard of my body remains, I can use my chakra or even parts of other puppets to heal myself. Haiden and Kakuzu are no longer the only immortals in the Akatsuki anymore, Sasori said with a smirk, as he held out his hands towards her, and revealing two pipes that emerged from his palms, wasting no time before firing a stream of fire at her for her to protect herself from. Seriously, an immortal puppet, how the hell are we going to kill him if he can reform from a small part of himself? She thought to herself with a frown, as she stayed in her complete barrier to protect herself from the fire. His attack actually was helpful, as it gave her time to think about what to do next. I don't want to rush forward and attack him in my barrier, as all that would do is shatter him. He said he regenerates from his body, and only needs the smallest part. Do his blades and cable count, or are they essentially tools that are added onto his body? He was able to attach them back to himself so they might count, she thought with a groan, and ruffled her hair in annoyance. I have something I think could work, but I have to ensure I get all of it or else it won't work a second time, she thought, as she gained a resolved and determined look as the fire ended, instantly dropping her barrier and charging at him. He didn't seem to care, but why would he if he could regenerate damage, merely attacking her with his cable, and not even caring, as she grabbed it a bit below the spike. Nothing you can do can work. You might as well just give up, as all it takes is one nick to get infected by my poison, Sasori told her, watching as she ran from place to place around him, confused at what she was doing before his cable reached its end. Finally got it all, Sakura said, ignoring his usual villain it's no use prattle, that Kokid has heard a million times, as she began her plan to take him out. Taking a page out of his book, she quickly gave his cable a strong pull, not intending to rip it out, but instead wrap him up in it before running around him a few times more, to make sure it was nice and snug. This is ridiculous. This is a part of me, so I can easily loosen this, Sasori said, clearly annoyed and confused before she appeared behind him with a smile on her face. A second is all I need, to make sure I get all of you in here from head to toe, blades and cable included, she told him before trapping him in a barrier. This is your plan? Trap me? I promise you I can outlast you given I don't age. The second you drop the barrier from exhaustion you are dead, Sasori plainly stated, only to frown. As the barrier started to shrink, while the woman gained a strained look on her face. Don't worry, you won't be in here for long, and hopefully if my gamble pays out you won't be alive much longer, she told him, pushing herself more and more as she continued to shrink the barrier around Sasori. What are you doing? Even if you crush me into dust I will piece myself back together, Sasori said, as the barrier kept shrinking. Who says you'll be dust? I'm going for complete implosion if I can push myself to do so, since I'll be honest, I've never done this before. As a fusion though, I feel I can, since even with half of me lacking Kai, I feel stronger than ever, Sakura said with a smile, staring Sasori in the eyes. As she kept pushing her barrier to go smaller and smaller. All of Sakura's medic nin training was helping her stay laser focused on this one task, completely drowning out Sasori, as he tried, and failed to attack the barrier in hopes of breaking free. This won't work. I will piece myself back together. There's no way you can pull this off, Sasori yelled out, actually showing anger and fear, as his body was completely broken up with only his head left slightly intact. He was a bit thankful, as it seemed his cable and blades were making it difficult for her. It will work, as I have a whole lot more power to draw on, Sakura growled out in determination, as a purple diamond appeared on her forehead before markings emerged from it, the lines wrapping and going all along her body. Strength of 100 seal. I didn't want to use it so frivolously, but using it power up a technique to kill an Akatsuki member who is immortal feels like a valid reason, Sakura thought, as Sakura had spent years learning this technique, hiding it until she actually needed it in battle. Almost instantly after activating it, Sakura found it so much easier to push the barrier smaller, the metal of the blades and cable crumpling, and Sasori's head shattering. She didn't let up, pushing more and more as it got smaller and smaller. She flared her Kai as hard as she could as she gave the final push, the barrier now smaller than her fist, but knowing she needed to go even smaller. Sakura's own complete implosion, she yelled out before the barrier completely disappeared with an intensely powerful shockwave that nearly shot her into the wall, only for Vados to catch her. Very well done, I know you two had it in you, Vados praised them with a smile, watching as the markings from the diamond on her forehead rescinded. Yeah, we knew we could do it, Sakura said, her voice tired and weak before Vados put a hand on top of her head. Yes, now you two rest. I will ensure you are both safe, Vados told the both of them, putting them to sleep to rest, as the fusion ended. For a first time, and sudden fusion, they were incredibly stable. I might have to see if they'd be willing to train like Caulifla and Kale do with Kefla, Vados thought with a smile, watching, as the barrier that they had formed to keep Sasori from running finally dropped. Be quick, Naruto, you played around long enough, Vados told him from afar with a smile, knowing he enjoyed a good fight nearly as much as Caulifla. Naruto and Mir. Fine, I'll end this soon, Naruto said with a smirk, responding to Vados in the middle of fighting Mir. He couldn't really argue with her since he knew she was right, even with Mir fighting more seriously, neither of them were fully serious. That didn't mean neither of their hits were anything to scoff at, as the shockwaves from their hits were getting stronger and stronger, Naruto's Sage Mode helping keep him from getting too hurt from the ones he blocked from Mir. Then this. I don't see you being able to seriously do that, Mir said, as he fully dodged a punch from Naruto, getting used to the invisible extra range to his punches. You haven't got me anywhere near serious, he added while Naruto smirked. Really? Cause neither am I, and I'm still putting you on the defensive, Naruto told him, smirking, as he dodged another punch from Mir, only to shoot a Kai blast just as he tried to fire one at him. Your strength is false. Derived from sources not your own, whether they be whatever energy you absorb to change your eyes or the beast inside you. My strength is my own, and I refuse to struggle any longer. Mir yelled, his Kai flaring even stronger before charging at him. Naruto winced in pain as he blocked one of Mir's punches, his power being far more than it was mere moments ago, and being enough to bypass the added durability of Sage Mode. Mir's speed was also a whole lot more intense, as Naruto had to really work to dodge his barrage of punches. Here, use some of my chakra to match his, and get yourself a window to fight back, Kakuyo's voice softly spoke out, as he started to feel his chakra start to almost raise in temperature. My chakra will bring yours to the boiling point for unrivaled strength, she informed him before he erupted in an explosion of hot steam that caused Mir to retreat. You may complain about me getting help from others, but I wouldn't be here if it weren't for the help of my partner. Though that isn't to say I'm entirely weak without him, hell, I've been holding you off without their help, though to finish it, I'm borrowing a bit, Naruto said, as the massive amount of steam was still shooting off of him before it stopped, and he dashed forward. Completely ready for his increase in speed, as he slammed his fist into Mir's gut, the steam rocketing his fist forward at the last minute to really increase the power enough to visibly hurt Mir from the look on the man's face. Although he wasn't nearly done. One-handed style. Shockwave gun. Naruto yelled, as he immediately followed up the punches. It was still happening with his shockwave gun, hitting Mir essentially twice at once, before the man shot backwards from the combined force. He could see the man was trying to stop his flight through the air, smirking, as he got an idea before he put his hands in a sea, a familiar ball of blue swirling energy appearing in his hands. "Allow me to help you slow down." Naruto yelled out to him before he quickly used his new increased speed to instantly get behind Mir and stop him. "Tell whoever is helping the Akatsuki that if they keep it up I'll have to come and find them," Naruto told him before instantly going to fire his Rasenha at Mir's back, only for the man to suddenly disappear after a purple aura enveloped him. "Seems you were a bit too slow," Makurita said with a slight frown before Naruto cancelled his technique. "Yeah, someone was ready to pull him away at a moment's notice," he told her with a frown, as they both started to descend, him looking down to see everyone waiting for them, some being a bit exhausted even if they were healed up. "How did it go for you all?" Naruto asked, as he landed with Makurita and followed her, as she brought Gaara out of her staff, his eyes on his friend, while the others followed along, thankfully understanding why his focus was on Gaara. "Kefla kicked Kakuzu's ass so much she got teleported away, and we killed Hyden completely," Caulifla said with a massive smile, always happy and proud when she got to fuse with Kale, as it was always a fun experience. Madara ran off after his attacks kept failing. "Gaara was my first priority, so he wasn't around for the fighting," Dispo reported before Sakura rubbed her arm, as if she was embarrassed or shy. "Sakura and I took out Sasori for good after we came to fuse," as well Koka said, as she opened her hand to reveal a purple Patara earring, while Sakura pulled a matching one out from her pouch. "Really? Wow, I didn't expect," what Naruto said, as he and the others were reasonably shocked at the revelation. Fusion was something he only expected from Caulifla and Kale, given how close the two of them were together, while Sakura and Koka on the other hand, had just met a week or so ago. Well, Vado suggested it, and it was a lot easier given Koka was defensive with her barriers, and I was offensive with my strength, Sakura explained with a slight blush, not really being ashamed, but just still stunned by the whole experience. "Yeah, that sounds like Vados or any of the angels. They will tend to offer advice, and give pushes when needed to help you grow in strength. If Vados gave you both those Patara, I suggest you keep them if you want to," that is Naruto suggested to them, looking at them both to show it was entirely up to them before they nodded after a few moments of thinking it over. Koka clipping it on her left ear while Sakura put hers on her left ear, as well. It felt a bit odd putting it back on, but it was fine for now. "How's Gaara?" Naruto asked, now able to focus fully on his friend, now that he was assured that everyone had handled things okay. "He's alive, but whatever technique they used to try and rip the leftover Biju chakra out of him put a massive strain on him. Healing him is easy," Margarita told him, allowing him to let out a sigh of relief. "Good, please heal him, and bring us back to the front entrance of Sunagakur please," Naruto asked, getting a smile from his angels before they complied with his request. Sunagakur. The second their turn he saw a brief moment where the shinobi of the sand went on guard mode before they saw it was them, and quickly relaxed before growing worried, as they noticed Gaara. It was a nice show of shinobi training where even if he were to suddenly appear it wouldn't stop people from being on guard from it. "Gaara? Is he okay?" Temari asked, as she rushed forward. Naruto nodded before Margarita held her staff over Gaara, instantly healing his body, and waking him up a bit to where he started to stir awake. "Hey there Gaara, you had a lot of us worried for a while there," Naruto told him with a smile, crouching down, as his friend woke up, and softly smiled at him. "Apologies, as Kazekage I felt I had to protect my village on my own," Gaara said, as he sat up, and looked over at him before noticing everyone surrounding them. "Yeah, and it seems your villagers really appreciate it, as in the end you did protect them," Naruto pointed out, patting him on the back. "What a relief, I thought the Kazekage was really gone," one shinobi said, crying a bit into his arm, as he used it to wipe his tears. "Lord Gaara wouldn't die so easily." The kunoichi beside the man yelled, smacking him on the back before another kunoichi moved beside her. "Lord Gaara is a silent, cool, strong, and handsome elite warrior," she praised with the girl beside her nodding with a smile. Yes, and he's cute too, but he is still the Kazekage," the other kunoichi said, showing that while they admired him, they also respected him greatly. "I'll protect you from your enemies next time." "No, I will." The two girls yelled out, as they tried to run forward only for Temari to get them to stop and settle down. "Oh? Seems you have some fans." Naruto teased him with a smirk, looking over his shoulder a bit at the two kunoichi, which got the two of them to blush a bit. "I'm just glad you're okay though. I would have liked it if our meeting again after so long had been under better circumstances," he added before he helped Gaara to his feet, as his friend nodded to show he would have liked it, as well. Naruto stuck around, as Temari, Kankuro, and various other Suna citizens talked with Gaara before Temari walked over to him and surprised him with a hug. "Thank you for getting my brother back safely," she said, as she buried her head in his shoulder. "Hey, I promised I would, and I always stick to my promises. Plus Gaara is like a brother to me with how things have been. There's no way in hell I'd let those Akatsuki assholes take him," he told her with a smile, giving her a squeeze back before she pulled away. "Enough cuddling you two," Kankuro teased, smirking massively, as his sister instantly jerked around to glare daggers at him. Gara wanted to have me come and, on his behalf, invite you and your friends to stay the night in sauna before heading back. Honestly, I feel everyone wants you to stay for a bit after everything you just did. He went on, as Naruto looked at the others before nodding with a smile. Of course I'll stay the night. It's been a while, so I want to catch up with Gar, and I can easily have an angel report back to Tsunade about how the mission went. He told Kankuro, getting a nod from him, and even if he didn't see it, as she wasn't facing him, a smile from Tamari. Great. We'll set up rooms for you in our house. We should have enough to handle everyone, Kankuro said with a smirk, looking over to Tamari, and getting a glare from her again, before he headed off before he undoubtedly would have gotten whacked by her fan. I'll guide you there, just let me get Gar, since after all of this the council is insisting he get some rest, Tamari said before speed walking over to Gar to retrieve him from the citizens of Sunagakur, who were all expressing how grateful that he came home safe after protecting them. Shall I head to Konoha now with a clone of yours to report the mission? Margarita asked, as he summoned a clone with a nod. She should understand, but also give her a device that can call an angel staff in case something pops up, Naruto told her, getting a smile from Margarita. How very cautious and smart of you, right away, Margarita said before she teleported off with his clone. So you are close with this Gar guy? Caulifla asked with a raised eyebrow, as she peeked around him over to where Gar was talking with some other people. Gar and I were both ostracized due to something inside of us, he started off, as he put his hand over his stomach with a bit of a frown. Suna treated him a bit harsher than Konoha did me though. In Konoha people ignored me, in Suna they saw him as a monster and raised him as such. It wasn't until we met, and subsequently fought, that I was able to get through to him. If I'm being honest, he's more like a brother to me than I stupidly believed someone else was. Naruto finished, Sakura, and his eyes meeting for a brief moment before she looked down at the ground. Then I am glad we were able to save him, Koka said with a smile, all watching, as Tamari signaled for them to come over to her, as everyone else seemed to be heading back into the village. Sorry to ask this of you, but do you think you could take us to our house? I really don't want Gar walking around more than he absolutely needs to, Tamari asked with a slight frown, Gar looking like he wanted to tell her it wasn't needed. But also knowing it was pointless arguing with Tamari when she got like this. Sure, makes it easier for us, as well, since some of my friends are a bit exhausted from their fights, as well, Naruto said, as he nodded to his angels. Kus stepped forward before all of them quickly reappeared in what Naruto figured to be Gar's living room. Well, I mean, I saw Tamari arrive last night, and you show up this morning, but seeing and doing it are two different things, Kankuro said, looking around in shock at the sudden change in his surroundings. You should see what else is possible. Vados, Kus, can you make more seats for everyone, as I feel it's about time we sat down, and finally caught up, Naruto told them with a smile, while his angels made seats for everyone, as well as tea, since they knew this would be a potentially long chat. Thankfully, Gara and Tamari took it all in a bit easier than Jiraiya did. Kankuro wasn't that bad, but did require a bit of proof, and also unlike last time he felt no need to erase the sun, instead erasing the seat out from under him, which seemed to make Tamari laugh at. When I saw you back when we talked amongst our Biju, I felt there was something more about you, and after seeing that dragon you warned us about, as well as the people you keep around you, I can't in the right mind deny what you have said. Especially when Tamari is backing you up, Gara said with a smile, as he looked over at his sister. You should have seen how he proved it to use. Let's just say he destroyed something more than a simple chair, Tamari said, still remembering the sight of the sun being erased above them like that. Well, I'm just glad he's on our side like this, Kankuro said with a shiver, since to him the power to destroy anything with no warning sounded terrifying if it was in the wrong hands. Can't argue there, given the last god of destruction tried to kill me for merely existing, Naruto reminded them, as the whole reason Belmont had gone after him was because he felt Kurama's energy, and declared it to be unsightly more or less. Belmont was an odd god of destruction. He was a former Pride Trooper in the past, but, as most gods tend to, he got drunk on his power and lavish lifestyle. Naruto has been very grounded from the moment he became a god of destruction, Margarita said with a smile, having returned to catch the end of the conversation. Enough about me though. I want to hear everything about how you became the youngest ever Kage. Tell me everything, Naruto told them, wanting to get the conversation off him so he didn't feel like he was bragging, and just being genuinely curious about his friend's achievements. Well, it actually started because of you, Gara said with a soft smile, as he began telling his story. Akatsuki. That did not go as I expected. Seems that boy has more power around him, and in him, Towa said, as she watched over the fights that had just transpired. That is rather obvious, given we lost not only the Bijuru, but also 2 Akatsuki members, and their rings, Nagato said with a frown, and slight glare on his face. Oh, stop the glaring. It could have been 4 if not for me recalling Kakuzu after he nearly lost all his hearts, and Dadara apparently not being worth the effort to chase after. Towa narrowed her eyes at Nagato, putting a bit of pressure on him to make him stop his attitude. I could have taken care of him if you left me there to fight him, Mira said with an annoyed tone, getting a raised eyebrow from Towa. Oh really? From where I was watching, you were about to get severely injured after being caught off guard so many times. Towa scolded him, as she pointed her staff at him, the tip of it poking against his nose. I warned you to be on your toes against the boy, but it seems like you didn't heed my warning, she added, getting him to grow quiet. It is of no consequence though, as in the long run those two were not nearly as powerful as your other members. The only benefits I could give them was a healing factor, plus they proved useful in helping assess the level of the boy's company, Towa explained, as she looked over to Nagato before pulling her staff away from Mare and sitting back on it as it floated. For now, allow the members who survived the skirmish to recover and recuperate. I have an idea of what to do next, so have everyone wait for the next orders, she commanded, getting a nod from Nagato before he walked off. Just send me Towa, I can handle that childish god this time now that I have a better grasp of him, and his powers, Mira requested before Towa shook her head. You still don't, wait until you see more of his skills and abilities. I have other ideas for the time being, mainly involving someone who might create more interesting data from his struggles against the god, Towa told him with a bit of a chuckle, as she summoned an image of the younger of the two Uchiha in the Akatsuki. Do you think it is wise given his performance earlier today? Mira asked with a frown, getting a mere shrug from her before she erased the image. I expect him to fail, but that doesn't mean we can't get good data from him. His past with the god makes things the most interesting, so we shall see what fruits he bears in his struggles, Towa said, as she motioned for Mira to follow her. Sunagakure later that night. Naruto groaned with a smile, as he stretched, dinner having been nice and enjoyable, as it was nice catching up with Gar. Plus it was nice to see everyone get along throughout the day, whether it be Kankuro showing off his puppetry or Tamari showing off her fans. Even Gar showed off his sand a bit once he recovered enough to do a bit of it, which had gotten the interest of a few of the others. Thanks again for lending us rooms, Gar. Naruto thanked him with a smile, as he walked down the halls of Gar's large house with Gar and Tamari towards the room they set up for him. Tamari was mainly tagging along, as she was still being a bit protective over Gar, and wanted to help him in case he needed it. With how the rooms were set up, it ended up with the girls all having rooms on one side of the house while the guys were on the other side. Oddly, it wasn't purposefully planned that way, but more just ending up like that, as with everyone unable to have their own rooms, and Gar's rooms having 2 beds to a room, it just made sense to pair girls with girls for the most part. The only exceptions were his and Dispo's rooms, as they were smaller rooms with only 1 bed, which neither of them minded, and agreed that the girls should have the larger rooms. Naruto, you saved my life, the least I can do is offer you a room, Gar said with a smirk, making Naruto chuckle, as he rubbed the back of his head embarrassed a bit. But what about your angels? Tamari asked, as they didn't have enough beds for them. We can sleep standing up, and require no beds for the most part, Margarita explained, as while Naruto had gotten beds for them they were still able to sleep, as they usually did. It was still cute remembering how confused and worried he got when he learned how they slept, him getting them beds after finding it to feel wrong to have them sleep like that. Well, here is your room, not too far from mine, Gar said before Tamari started to steer him towards his room. Yes, a room you should be laying down in after such a hectic day, Tamari urged before looking back at Naruto. Also, can you maybe wait for me out here for a bit? I need to talk to you about something, she asked, surprising and confusing Naruto a bit before he nodded and watched as she took Gar back to his room. We'll wait inside, Beto said with a smile before they left him alone in the hallway. Thanks for waiting, Tamari said, as she left Gar's nearby room, not taking too long to come back to him, as she probably didn't want to feel like she was keeping him waiting. Of course, what is it you needed to talk to me about? He asked with a slight frown, noticing how nervous she looked as she fussed with her outfit a bit. Naruto, no offense, but when we first met I thought you were an idiot, Tamari said, getting laughter from Naruto, as he nodded, hunched over a bit by the sudden bluntness. Yeah, I was like that a lot back then, but I doubt you just wanted to tell me that, Naruto told her, still chuckling a bit before he stood up and smiled at her, silently encouraging her to start. Right, well, you were an idiot until I really got to meet you after you defeated Gar. You had basically every right to end him, but you didn't, you saved him. That simple act gave me back my brother, she continued, Naruto knowing to stay silent when someone was making a big speech like this. From there on you were essentially part of our family, as a dear family friend to me, and Kankuro, and a brother to Gar. You being gone made us realize how much you meant to us 3, and even more for me, Tamari said, as she quickly looked up at him. Seeing how you have grown from the kid I first met, and yet can still be there for Gar, it made me even more certain about my feelings for you. I tried to ignore them, even going as far as to try and date Shikamaru, but that didn't work, as you were just too strong in my mind, she confessed before she leaned forward to capture him in a quick but soft kiss. Naruto was surprised, his eyes going wide, as she pulled back, her face entirely enveloped in a blush. I know you were with Cauliflower and the others, as I overheard her talking with Ino, and, to be honest, it's kind of obvious when I watched you all. And I might not know how things work out in space, but I really don't care, she told her, her eyes giving away how nervous she was, as she held his hands before going in for another kiss, this time one that Naruto was able to return this time. The kiss was full of emotion, Tamari wanting to use it to almost get some of the feelings across that she couldn't fully express in words, her arms going around his neck, while his hands went to her hips before they broke the kiss, but she stayed where she was. Tamari, I won't say this didn't surprise me, but I will say I'm honestly really honored you feel this way about me since, as you said, I was just an idiot when you first met me, and frankly, I still can be at times. So for me to have such a place in your mind and heart means a lot. He told her with a soft smile which seemed to make Tamari's smile grow larger, and clearly much happier. And I'll admit I'm still not sure why so many women get interested in me, but I'll tell you the same thing I told them, thank you for falling for an idiot like me, and I'll do my best to deserve it, he told her, getting a chuckle from her before she leaned in for another loving kiss. He though found himself backed up against the door. As the kiss deepened, he pulled her in closer which made her smile, and continued the kiss until they both froze, as the throat was cleared. Tamari's face turned dark red, as she knew who it was even before she turned to Chuck. Gar, what are you doing out of your room? Tamari stuttered out, Naruto swearing he saw steam coming off her, while Gar merely looked the two of them over before smirking a bit. I wanted to ask Naruto something, but I see it can wait until morning, Gar said, as he turned to leave only to stop and turn back around. Also I will say that I approve since Naruto is the only man I'd be okay having you, so good night, and try not to stay up too late, he added with a smirk, which only made Tamari grow an even darker blush, before burying her face in Naruto's chest. You okay there? Naruto asked with a slight chuckle, as he rubbed Tamari's back, getting a nod, as her face was still buried. Yeah, but I swear I didn't know Gar could tease, Tamari grumbled before Naruto patted her head. This goes to show he has a sense of humor. I'm just glad he's okay with this. Naruto told her with a frown, not sure how things would have gone if he didn't. Oh please, given your past with him it would have been more surprising if he wasn't okay with it, Tamari said with a roll of her eyes before she put her hands on his chest, and pushed herself back away from him with a smile. Though I will say that is enough kissing for tonight, as that surprise made me more exhausted than I imagined it would, she added with a sigh, despite the smile still on her face. We can always talk more in the morning, so it's fine, Naruto told her, getting a smile and nod from her. Night, Naruto, she said, as she waved to him while she started to walk away, him waving back before she turned the corner. Tamari was all smiles, as she walked away, a bit giddy, which was surprising given she was a grown woman, which explained why she didn't see Sakura, as she bumped into her. Sakura, what are you doing out here? Tamari asked, silently hoping and praying that Sakura hadn't seen or overheard her confession to Naruto. It wasn't that she was ashamed or wanted to hide it, but more just it being a private moment that had already been spied on by her brother of all people, but then again it could have been Kankuro, which would have been way worse. Sorry, I was just getting some water, as I went to the bathroom, Sakura said calmly, instantly calming Tamari down, as one of the bathrooms was over near their rooms. Oh, okay. Sorry, I just am a bit on edge after everything. Didn't mean to freak out, Tamari said with a sigh before Sakura patted her on the shoulder. It's totally fine, Tamari, go to bed, and relax after this eventful day, Sakura encouraged, getting Tamari to nod with a sigh before she walked off. Yeah, that's definitely what I need at night. Tamari nodded along before she started walking off towards her room. Sakura, once Tamari was gone, sighed a bit with a frown. I knew Tamari had feelings for Naruto, but knowing and seeing her confession are two incredibly different things. He really has captured a lot of hearts and changed over the years. Is his crush for me still there somewhere? She thought before she clenched her fists with another sigh. I need to go to bed was all she could think, as she headed back to her room, the thoughts of Lady Tsunade possibly being able to help popping up in her head, before she fell asleep the moment her head hit the pillow, which was understandable after this beyond eventful day. The end. Thanks for watching my video, leave a like if you enjoyed my video, and also do consider subscribing to